Welcome to the presentation of the first Daniel G. Hill Human Rights Awards, to honor some of the people who have made and continue to make important contributions to human rights in Ontario. My name is Rabia Khedr. I'm the Executive Director of the OHRC. I will begin with a land acknowledgement. The Ontario Human Rights Commission is based on what is now known as Toronto, and we are guests on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We recognize that this land is the traditional territory of many First Nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples. We further acknowledge that Toronto is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We are mindful that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, the Williams Treaties, and the Dish with One Spoon Wampum. We honor these lands and are grateful to the Indigenous peoples who have cared for and to continue to care for lands across Turtle Island. Today, we celebrate the 60th anniversary of Ontario's Human Rights Code, the first legislation of its kind in Canada. And we celebrate some of the people who have brought that legislation to life along the way. I invite Chief Commissioner Patricia Daguerre to share some thoughts about the meaning and the importance of the awards.
Thank you, Raj. Welcome to our distinguished awardees. For over 60 years, the Ontario Human Rights Commission has traveled a path trying to make human rights a lived reality for everyone in Ontario. For 6 decades, this institution has and continues to work diligently to protect, promote, and advance human rights in the province through education, policy development, public inquiries, and litigation. But we have never done this alone. Many people across Ontario are also making important contributions to advance human rights. Really has the Ontario Human Rights Commission publicly acknowledged the hard work of the many people and communities across Ontario who are making important contributions to the advancement of human rights. Today, we pause to do so. The Dr. Daniel G. Hill Awards are just a small showcase of how the work of people across Ontario is transforming the human rights landscape positively. The Commission received dozens of nominations. Choosing the awardee was quite a challenge because there were so many deserving candidates. We set up a special committee, including members from advisory groups who reviewed and shortlisted the nominees. The final decision was taken by the Ontario Human Rights Commissioners. I did not vote. I am very thrilled with the finalists, though. The awards are named after Daniel G. Hill, who was the first director and first Black chair of the Ontario Human Rights Commission. Dr. Hill was one of the earliest human rights visionaries who set a solid legacy that we have all worked to follow and that still resonates today. Among those with whom he collaborated to create Ontario's Human Rights Institution included Louis Fine, the first chair of the Ontario Human Rights Commission, and the late Dr. Martin Luther King. I am proud to invite Lawrence Hill, Dr. Hill's son, to share some thoughts about his father's legacy.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Hill. I live in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm a writer and a university professor. I'm also the son of Dr. Daniel G. Hill III, who became the first director of the Ontario Human Rights Commission and later on its chairperson. Human rights were always a great source of kitchen table conversation in my household, growing up in the 1960s in Don Mills, suburb of Toronto. My father was so proud to beetle around the province in his Volkswagen Beetle, promoting the work of the Ontario Human Rights Commission, meeting people on the street, welcoming them into the commission and advancing the goals of the OHRC. And it's such a great pleasure to salute the commission today on the anniversary of the passing of the Ontario Human Rights Code, and of course, to congratulate the winners of the OHRC Young Leaders Distinguished Service and Lifetime Achievement Awards. In addition to being a passionate defender of human rights and anti-racism, my father believed very profoundly in encouraging people who are coming behind him, young people, students, people who are developing and moving into the field of human rights. And he and my mother, Donna Hill, were so passionate about. And I know that he would be delighted, not just to see awards in his name, but to know that there was this process in place to encourage young people and people of all ages at the end of their careers, in the middle and in the beginning of their careers, who are engaged in and being recognized for their work in human rights. So I take my hat off to the winners of the 3 awards today, and also to all the great people of Ontario who worked so very hard since the passage of the Ontario Human Rights Code 60 years ago to advance that very important social agenda in Ontario. I wish you all the best, and I hope we'll have a chance to meet in person one day soon. Thank you.
Today's awards will be given in 3 categories. Young Leaders, awarded to a person under age 30 for their outstanding contribution to advancing human rights in Ontario. Distinguished Service, awarded for outstanding contribution to advancing human rights. And Lifetime Achievement, awarded to an individual for significant contributions over their lifetime to advance human rights. We'll start with the Young Leaders, who represent the potential to carry Daniel G. Hill's legacy into the future. To present this award, I am pleased to introduce Carolyn Hill, who is the granddaughter of Daniel G. Hill and a commission employee, has a unique connection to the past, the present, and the future.
Thank you for the introduction, Raj. I'm very proud to be part of the Hill family legacy. In just a few weeks, it will be 19 years since my grandfather's passing. I often think about what he and my grandma Donna would say, knowing that I was following in their footsteps. Would they be excited, or would they tell me to proceed with caution? What I do know is he'd be very proud to hear that the next generation of Hills continue to contribute to positive social change. I am now honored to present the Young Leaders Award to Autumn Peltier. We are alike in the sense that she too has a legacy to fulfill, coming from a strong line of matriarchs and having the late Josephine Mandeman as her great aunt, a water and environmental activist who trekked 17,000 kilometers around the Great Lakes advocating for water protection. Autumn is Anishinaabe, a member of Wikwemikong First Nation, and is a water protector who began her fight for Indigenous Canadian rights to clean drinking water when she was 8 years old. She is the Chief Water Commissioner for the Anishinaabe Nation in Ontario, where she represents 39 First Nations and is responsible for relaying community concerns to the Anishinaabe Council. Autumn, your ability to tenderly extract a promise from Prime Minister Trudeau at the age of 12 to care for the water is a legacy that will inspire people for a long time. You lead by example and you speak truth to power. You have campaigned for water protection around the world and spoken at the World Economic Forum in Geneva and the United Nations, where you urge the global delegates to respect the sacredness and importance of clean water. At home, your focus is on boil water advisories and lack of clean drinking water in First Nation communities in Ontario and across Canada. And we were impressed to see your short documentary, The Water Walker, released in March on Crave in Canada. You are one of the leading youth changers in the world today and are recognized by organizations and global platforms for your perseverance. Young people and people of all ages are engaged and inspired by your commitment to working with communities, in collaborating, in listening, and in letting people have a say while making a critical connection between the environment and human rights. Heartiest congratulations, Autumn.
Bonjour, masquagija quedishnakas, megezadodem, liquankundonchiba, meniswendan vimadewian. My name is Autumn Peltier. I come from the largest freshwater island in the world called Manitoulin Island. I'm also the Chief Water Commissioner for the Anishinaabe Nation, and I'm 17 years old. I would like to thank the Chief Commissioner, Patricia Daguerre, for such a warm personal phone call, and the Ontario Human Rights Commission for the Daniel G. Hill Human Rights Award for 2022. Today, I am honored to continue to carry the awareness of the importance of water. If you have a glass of water in your hand, know that without it, there is no life. I would like to acknowledge all the women today and thank you for your continued perseverance and strength. I also give thanks to those women who have gone before me and created a path for us young ones. I know in my heart that I am a prayer that my ancestors prayed for. I would also like to acknowledge all the waters I come from. The reason I'm here today doing this work, many pour a glass of water and never think of its very importance. I wondered what inspirational words I can share and what my message will be. What came to me was the thought of the one woman who inspired me and all of us to do this work. My late great Auntie Josephine Ba. If there was anyone who knew what prayers can do and what real commitment was, it was her. I'm honored every day for the teaching she shared with me and the encouragement she gave me to keep going. There are days I feel like giving up because it feels like my efforts are overlooked or not heard. It's like I am this young teenager who is all by herself while the world makes TikToks and posts on Instagram, but I continue to fight. The water ceremony is very sacred. It's about acknowledging all life that depends on water. It is about giving thanks to all creation and humbling yourself because we would not be here if it wasn't for water. I ask now to those listening, repeat to yourself, I will love the water. Trying to understand what a boil water advisory was at 8 years old and how little children had no idea what clean running water was ignited something inside of me. It's 2022 and many children still think boiling their water is a normal day-to-day thing. If any of you now have a glass of water by your side, know that many young children across First Nations land do not, even right here in Ontario. At the height of COVID, society was told, be sure to wash your hands well, yet so many didn't and still don't have access to clean water to even wash their hands. Think about that. I never planned to spend my life doing this, but I am committed and I want the boil water advisories to end. When I was 12, I came face to face with Prime Minister Trudeau and was told to not say anything. Without backing down, I spoke up and asked him for his support. The highest figure in our country made me a promise to protect the water, and 5 years later, I'm still waiting. We are still waiting. Together with my friends at the Dreamcatcher Foundation, we have been distributing water filtration systems across First Nations as a short-term solution. We are not waiting anymore. Next time you pour a glass of water, know how easy it was. Ask yourself what it is you can do to help the planet. If you're in a position to help make change, to sign an agreement or use your position to help, please do. Sign my petition, engage with the youth, don't just enjoy your water. The water needs all of you, and we all need water. Water is life. Thank you, Miigwech.
I am pleased to announce the awardee for the distinguished service is Rabia Khedr. Rabia has worked for over 30 years to advance disability rights through her own experience and bringing forward the voices of marginalized people, people of color, women, and people with disabilities, especially intellectual disabilities. Her accomplishments range from serving as a former commissioner at the Ontario Human Rights Commission to serving on national disability advisory groups to co-chairing the Canadian Muslim COVID-19 Task Force. She co-founded the Race and Disability Canada Network, advocated for people of color individuals with disabilities, and she is currently the National Director of Disability Without Poverty, an organization that is working to ensure people with disabilities have the support necessary to avoid poverty and to take part in every aspect of society. Rabia, you consistently break barriers and change perceptions with your vast knowledge and experience working with people with disabilities, racialized women, seniors, youth, and diverse communities. You are a tireless community organizer who advocates for disability justice causes at all political levels. You have served with distinction and continue to reimagine ways one person can be the start of something big in advancing human rights. Congratulations, Rabia.
I am honored to be receiving this distinguished award. My journey as a person with a disability, as a racialized woman, as a Muslim, has truly indeed been a journey of learning about rights and responsibilities. I always say that thank God I grew up in Canada. Thank God I grew up in Canada because Canada is the best, and it's the place where I have the right to voice for more and make it better. I came to this country as a 4-year-old child with immigrant parents. There's nowhere that I call home. There's nowhere that I have the power to speak truth to power. As a person of color with a disability, I experienced many trials and tribulations, many difficulties, many barriers, many obstacles. I went through an education system that mislabeled me and misplaced me. I went through a healthcare system that did not explain the nature of my eye condition and the extent of it and the language used around it to my family. I accessed a number of programs and services challenging stereotypes. I found myself as the eldest of 4 children with disabilities. I became the voice for my parents, mastering the language, and the advocate for siblings, knowing how to navigate the system once I figured it out for myself. Given all this lived experience, I found a path, I found a purpose, and that purpose was to constantly push the bar for change, to constantly stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, after having stood up for myself because I had no one to stand up for me. In this journey, I discovered the importance of human rights, the importance of knowing what our rights are, and the importance of appreciating that we have to take responsibility when we exercise our rights to ensure them for others. If we do not stand up for the rights of others, no one will stand up for our rights. As an adult, I discovered that Islamophobia was very real and has since intensified tremendously. I dream of a tomorrow where my children and their children's children feel that they are an absolute integral part of this society, that they don't face othering, that they don't face racism and discrimination and Islamophobia. And in order to ensure that, I continue to speak about the issues, to organize around the issues, to bring people together to learn about the issues. And I continue to collaborate and cooperate at various levels to make sure that we are building a better tomorrow, a more accessible, inclusive, and just society for everybody, and in particular for people with disabilities, especially those with intellectual disabilities who cannot speak for themselves. I am very appreciative of this recognition, as I said, and I accept this honor on behalf of the many, many, many silent trailblazers out there on a daily basis who navigate these barriers that I navigate, who advocate to overcome these barriers, who collaborate and cooperate with others to champion social justice and social inclusion. I am one of many doing this work, and I recognize the tireless work that so many of my peers do alongside me and within their own spaces and places to make a difference in this society for a better tomorrow. There is always hope where there is passion for human rights. Let's continue galvanizing our passion to create that better tomorrow for all of us, where no one feels left behind, where no one feels on the margins, where no one feels that they are forgotten. A society where everybody belongs, everyone has access. Equity is the cornerstone of principles that we operate within, and justice is a fact. Thank you.
The third category is the Lifetime Achievement Award. We have selected 2 recipients because each has been exemplary in their life's work to advance human rights. The first awardee is Kim Bernhardt Brooks, whose legacy begins at the genesis of the commission. Kim accompanied her parents to meetings where key citizens like Louis Fine and Dr. Hill would meet to strategize for lobbying the government to create the commission. One evening, feeling that she had been dragged to too many meetings, a defiant Kim informed her parents that she was not going to another stupid meeting. At that stupid meeting was Dr. Martin Luther King. She still regrets that decision. Later, Kim worked with Daniel Hill as a summer student and intern in the 1970s and served as a human rights officer from 1978 to 1984. After being called to the bar in 1993, Kim worked in human rights and equity with the Ontario Nurses Association and was the first person of color to serve as a research officer. She was instrumental in implementing a strategic plan for anti-racism organizational change at the Ontario Nurses Association, with priorities and timeframes for promoting and training members of color and establishing a system to advance human rights cases, which still is in place today. Kim also played a significant role in the Northwestern Hospital settlement in 1994, which was the first extensive commission settlement requiring anti-racism organizational change. As well, Kim has extensively promoted employment equity through volunteer work with the Alliance for Employment Equity and the Women's Coalition for Employment Equity, just to name 2 of the many organizations she has been involved with. Through the Association of Human Rights Lawyers, Kim played a pivotal role in the 2008 amendments to the Code and in advocating for the Commission to retain a proactive role in human rights in Ontario. Kim, you have served Ontarian communities as a child, as a student, as a lawyer, an advocate, a teacher, a community partner, and most importantly, as a friend with vision and leadership to the benefit of communities across our province. Your long list of contributions and accomplishments speaks strongly that you are a dedicated leader here in Ontario and beyond Canada's borders. With heartfelt gratitude, congratulations, Kim.
Why do we still need to protect and promote human rights? When Dan and Donna Hill first arrived in Toronto from the US in the mid-1950s, not only did they strike up a lifelong friendship with my parents, Wilson and Phyllis Brooks, they also discovered that racism did not stop at the border. While Donna, a white woman who would find a place where they could live, could get offers on available accommodation. These offers were reneged when she later showed up with Dan. Around 1982, while cycling with my infant daughter Nicole in her bike carrier on a beautiful sunny day on Yonge Street in Aurora, the mood was shattered by a carload of young white males who decided to randomly drop the N-bomb on me and my infant daughter. I was a human rights officer at the commission at the time, and I knew we still needed human rights. Sometime around 2010, my other daughter, Kelsey, was driving around Sudbury, minding her own business on a work assignment, when another carload of white males drove past and offloaded the N-bomb on her. While these personal experiences are not the most common expressions of discrimination, they are signals about what lies beneath some of the ongoing, often thoughtless attitudes and behaviors that exist for too many of us. Yes, the promotion and protection of human rights remains relevant and necessary for us all. I thank the Commission for selecting me as a recipient of the Daniel G. Hill Human Rights Award in the Lifetime Achievement category. I guess this is what happens when you stick around long enough. I've been involved in this work and advocacy since I was a child, thanks to having people like the Hills and my family promoting social justice to me throughout my life. I owe my career in this area to Dan and Donna Hill, who asked if I'd be interested in a summer position at the Commission when I was a teenager and supported me along every step of the way. I would not be so attuned to social justice issues if it were not for my parents, siblings, Judy, Elaine, and Paul Brooks, the rest of my family members, and the many family friends who exposed me to the ideas and activities, personal sacrifices, and efforts to work towards a world where every human being is treated with respect and dignity. I thank my good friends, including those who wrote letters in support of my nomination. In particular, I thank Mark Hart, who nominated me for this award. They have all added to my continuing education in how to practice and advance human rights for all. And I would not be here without the wisdom, love, and support of my spouse, Bob, my brilliant daughters, Nicole and Kelsey, their spouses, and my beloved and brilliant grandchildren, Ben, Leah, and Zadie. Thank you again for the recognition.
The second Lifetime Achievement Awardee is the eminent David Lepofsky. A lawyer who is blind, David has spent much of his career supporting Ontarians with disabilities and is recognized across Canada as a disability accessibility advocate. As a member of the Ontario Bar since 1981 and an adjunct faculty member of the University of Toronto Faculty of Law since 1991, David has tackled disability issues with a unique combination of creativity and tenacity. As a lawyer with the Ontario Public Service, he served in civil and constitutional law and in criminal law, where he led appeals up to the Supreme Court of Canada. Throughout this time, he was a staunch advocate for people with disabilities. The list of his accomplishments is long. David was instrumental in winning 2 important cases against the Toronto Transit Commission to create audible and visual transit stop announcements, an innovation that has been adopted beyond Ontario to other parts of Canada and even other countries. He played a key advocacy role in the Accessibility of Ontario with Disabilities Act, or the AODA, becoming law in June 2005. As the chair of the AODA Alliance, he has continued to hold the government to account on fulfilling the AODA's promise. And his work as a member of the AODA Kindergarten to Grade 12 Education Standard Development Committee has the potential to benefit students for generations to come. David, you are a world-renowned lecturer, author, and advocate. Your work has been marked by the bestowal of the Order of Canada, the Order of Ontario, honorary doctorates from Queen's and the University of Western Ontario, and many other awards for your tireless work, which continues to change the landscape for people with disabilities in Ontario. Thank you, David, and congratulations.
It's a tremendous honor to receive this award, and I'm very humbled by it and appreciative for it. It's 60 years ago that the Human Rights Commission was founded, but it's 40 years ago to this month that disability was added to the grounds of discrimination that were illegal under the Human Rights Code. And since that day, we have gone as people with disabilities from being completely left out of the Human Rights Code to being the leading ground, the most numerous number of complaints that are brought under the Human Rights Code are consistently based on disability. But with that, we need some new action to make those human rights become a reality in our lives. And to this end, I am honored to be part of this ceremony, but also want to think ahead to the future, the next 60 years, in fact, the next 5 years. It is important for the Human Rights Commission to make full use of its power under the Human Rights Code to itself launch systemic cases before the Human Rights Tribunal. And we call on the Commission to do just that, focusing in no small part on disability cases. This is especially important because since 2008, it has been left to people with disabilities to investigate their own cases and to hire their own lawyers and to litigate them before the Human Rights Tribunal at their own expense, except if they're fortunate enough to be one of the cases that get handled by the Human Rights Legal Support Center with its very limited resources. To that end, people with disabilities would really benefit, the Human Rights Code would really benefit if the Human Rights Commission were to use to its fullest extent the power to initiate new cases. And I think that could be a phenomenal way to start the next 60 years. And I look forward to having the opportunity to work with the Human Rights Commission on how to do that and how to do that well. Thank you very much for including me in this ceremony and for honoring me with this award.
In closing the Ontario Human Rights Inaugural Awards presentation, I extend thanks to the many people who submitted an impressive group of nominations for the awards. The review committee, the commissioners, and the staff team who created the design and coordinated the awards, and the people who received the awards, each of whom continues to keep Daniel G. Hill's legacy alive. Finally, thanks to the myriad people and organizations across Ontario who continue every day to promote and reimagine human rights, a veritable tool in maintaining peace, order, and good government in Ontario. We have witnessed 2 catastrophes in the last 2 years. Human rights have played a significant part in staying the course. We have been given an unprecedented opportunity to reflect on our past 60 years, to reimagine how we will continue to promote human rights consistent with the needs of a changing society. But now, this is a celebration. Thank you.